Hello everyone, my name is John Wright and welcome to this edition of HCS Matters. We're standing here in the preschool classroom at Cecilia Valley Elementary School, and preschool is critically important to the success of so many students. That early learning, and nobody knows that better than Carlina Sharon, who is our Director of Elementary or Early Childhood Education. And Carlina, I know we were talking before we went on air, we've done this several times, but we can never talk about the importance of preschool too much, can we?
Never, no, because the first 5 years of life are the most important years that you can have. The brain is 90% developed by the time they're 5 years old.
Wow.
So the more we can do when they're birth to 5, the better they're going to be ready for success.
Is it fair to say that I'm kind of set in my ways or a little bit when I get to 5 years old?
I would say that's probably true.
Right.
It's not that you can't change some of those ways, but you can do a little bit of that. But if you start them outright, you certainly have a much better chance of them being very, very successful.
So what's the importance of not just preschool, but of throwing in the concept of learning and knowledge before we start school in kindergarten?
Well, certainly extremely important. I think, even when women find out that they're going to have a baby, you start reading to children then. You read to children from the time they're birthed till they, forever really, but you read to them especially those first 5 years because you're building vocabulary. And so many times we find that when they start elementary school, it's not necessarily that they cannot read, they can't learn, they just don't have a big enough background knowledge to be able to be super successful at the very beginning. And they're, the vocabulary gap that you have with children who have not been read to versus children who have been read to is huge.
And I even talked to, and I heard this when my wife was pregnant with each of our 3 girls, to read to my wife's belly.
Oh yeah.
And I did that, and I'm not saying that that's what helped, but our students are, our girls are pretty good students today. So.
Makes a huge difference. A lot of things I think we did when we were many, many years ago are things that so desperately need to come back. When we were younger, we learned nursery rhymes, and a lot of times today we are not teaching nursery rhymes when they're young, birth to 5, the way we did before. In nursery rhymes, they can learn rhythm, they can learn to rhyme, they can learn vocabulary. It makes them feel very successful because nursery rhymes, you pick them up easy. So you're reading, you're retelling because you've heard it so much, you just know it. So there's so much that can be done.
And obviously we want to, if children are eligible, we'll talk about the eligibility requirements here in just a second. If they're eligible, we'd love to have them in our preschool program, but I've heard you say so many times, Carlina, that even when the camera's not around, that it's as long as they're learning, and that's the most important part.
It is. I would love more than anything to see universal preschool for all 4-year-olds, meaning you just have to be 4 by August the 1st. We are a state that has talked about that for a while, but we've not implemented anything like that. So currently in Kentucky, you can qualify for preschool as a 3-year-old with an identified disability. Okay. So there is a concern in the area of speech or social or cognitive that the family has. They come to us and we screen them, and then we give them some interventions, and they go home and do those interventions. And if we're not seeing enough success, then we'll evaluate. And that's the way a 3-year-old could qualify. 4-year-olds can qualify the same way, but they also can qualify by income. So the income of the family can help 4-year-olds qualify. And then in the state of Kentucky, if you are a 4-year-old, and that means you have to be 4 by August the 1st, because that's the cutoff date for the school, for the state, and you are in foster care, you automatically qualify for preschool. So we just have to know you are 4 by August the 1st and you're in foster care and you have an automatic spot.
Talk about how fun, I walk into a preschool classroom at any location across this district, and it just seems like I just want to stay in there for the rest of the day.
Oh,
it's just such a fun place to be.
It is. Because I think preschool teachers, and especially our Hardin County preschool teachers, do it right. And that is they're learning through intentional play. because that's how young children learn. Young children learn to build vocabulary, and they learn about real life, careers by playing in the dramatic play center or playing in the block center. They're learning to cooperate, they're learning to get along. So many things that our kindergarten teachers really want children to come in knowing. There are some academic things, but the majority of them are the skills they want them to know is how to get along with each other, how to sit and listen to someone speak to them or a story, how to take turns and share. And those are things we're doing every single day. I mean, we work on that all the time.
And if we don't get that, if we don't get those fundamentals, not only are we behind in academics, but we're really kind of behind in society. Is that a fair statement?
Right. Yes. I mean, I think if you can't get along socially, it makes it very difficult for you to, be successful in your job, be successful in, community groups. It just makes it hard. And, I don't know that, there are a lot of social skills that need to be taught. We just don't come out knowing how to do a lot of those things, knowing how to take turns. So, we do a lot of that in preschool, and that, helps children be ready to learn even more when they start kindergarten.
A favorite part of preschool for me is mealtime. They sit down at a table with like food and bowls like you would at a family setting, not just going through the line like other students do. Talk about just little things like that, how important they are.
Super important, and I think probably the concept behind why we set family style is that we're having conversations. We're having conversations about what our children are doing, what they want to learn. We're talking about manners. We're talking about the food they're eating. So sitting together like that as a family, it's kind of like what we would do as a family. At supper time when you come together at the table, you talk about your day and how things are going, and that's the premise behind us sitting together as a family.
You've been doing this, not to age you, but you've been doing this for a little while.
I have. I was just a baby when I started.
So. I know. So I've been doing this a little while. So can you talk about maybe some of the success stories that you've seen in preschool, and you've got two grown children, and those maybe some of their peers that have gone on, and your own children that have gone on to success.
Every single day. I mean, I just am so amazed every single day that I go into a preschool teacher's classroom and I see the stuff that they're doing. I run into children who have started in preschool and now have graduated and are have a job. We have children who are graduating this year that are, had a preschool background, that are, super excited about, their future and want to include preschool teachers in, hey, I'm graduating. I just see so many things. I mean, just in our own office, we will have families that come in and we will detect some kind of hearing loss or something with their vision, and no one had detected it before. So they're able to get some services and get those, very quickly. I think probably some of the success that I'm most proud of is I think we have grown. Because to me, adding additional classrooms in Hardin County means that we're trying to meet the needs of our families, and we're out, child finding and trying to find the families that qualify for preschool.
And so many partnerships. You all have developed so many partnerships with maybe outside agencies and maybe child care centers that have really helped grow the program and ultimately help students.
We have. I think we realize that child care centers are part of our whole program. So if we can work together, we do it for the benefit of the child, because some of our children that go to half-day preschool transition to a child care. Transitioning's not easy, no matter what it's always just an extra step. So we want them to be as, safe and successful with us as they are with child care.
There are so many things that go into planning a day for a preschool student. Talk about some of the things that your folks, your teachers have to think about. You can't just sit down and throw out some blocks and say, hey, go to town, start playing. So, there is professional development, there's curriculum guides, there's everything, just like a a K through 12 teacher would have in a preschool classroom.
Oh, definitely. We probably have more regulations than K through 12, and I think our teachers are experts at navigating through what's best for children and still meeting the regulations and still following everything that we need to. There's several things that are put on a preschool teacher's plate from the state level that we just have to make sure that we're putting it in the right timeline in class to help our children be as successful as possible.
If someone out there is watching this and goes, I really, I have a hard time kind of sending my 3-year-old into a classroom or my 4-year-old into a classroom. I just want to hold on to them as long as I can. So talk about how to get rid of that anxiety.
So I will say one thing I absolutely love about being in Hardin County and being in the Hardin County School District is I think that we have worked so very hard to have so many opportunities for families, from 2 days a week full day to 4 days a week half day to full day 4 days a week to a new outdoor classroom that we've opened this year. I think we have so many areas to be able to meet the needs of children. And for those parents that are concerned, and I commend them for caring about their children and being concerned about it, we just ask them to come, let their child start, and they can come with us for a few hours. We've had several families like that, and the majority of them end up saying, I want my child to go. So, even our families who we call and say, the school that you're at is 4 days a week, full day, sometimes they're a little apprehensive about a 3-year-old going to school full day, 4 days a week. But within the first week of school, they want them to stay. And I give that credit to our teachers and our instructional assistants because they truly act like a team. Not only are they preschool teachers, they're preschool moms and nurses and, doctors and all those things they have to be in a normal day.
That's right. You've been really fortunate, we've been really fortunate to have the support of superintendents through the years, boards of education through the years, chief academic officers through the years or assistant superintendents. So that makes it a whole lot easier for you and your team.
It's wonderful. I do attend meetings where people are not as fortunate as I am, and I've always realized how fortunate we are in Hardin County because not only have we had 2 superintendents who truly understand the importance of early childhood, they have helped develop all their associate superintendents to understand that too. But our Board of Education has been super supportive of early childhood, and they truly understand that if we want to make a difference with children, a real difference, and we want to change the rate that first graders go, read on grade level, if we want to increase those percentages, we don't do it when they're in 3rd grade. We do it when they're 3 and they're 4, and we actually do it when it's birth, and we go out and do things in the community that offer families opportunities to be able to participate in things for their children. And our board has always been super supportive of that. They encourage it. They kind of hold me accountable for making sure that I'm offering as much as I can to the community. And they're our cheerleaders, and that's not something that every district can say. So I don't take that for granted any day because I'm blessed to have people that are smart enough, educated enough to realize that if we want to make a difference with children, we start when they're young. And
it's things like Get Ready Camp in the summertime that our child nutrition team has the bus that goes out and feeds kids out in neighborhoods. So even those aren't directly affecting what happens in a preschool classroom. They still affect those 3, 4-year-olds, maybe even 5-year-olds that you'll see.
We've had preschool staff on the nutritional bus this summer, and we gave out children's books at every stop, and had preschool staff that talked to families and talked to children. They gave out applications. They shared with mom, take this book and read this book to your kids this week. I'll give you a new one when I see you next week. Those kinds of things I think make a huge difference. We worked with our Hardin County Community Foundation with Get Ready Camp, and that's a blessing we have in this district to be able to offer 4 weeks of education for families and children in the month of June in 3 different locations.
That's birth to school age, right?
Birth to 5. Yes, and we don't check identification. So if you're 6, you can still come.
Right.
You know, and even a mom who hasn't had her child yet that wanted to come and listen, we would love that. We've had a lot of support. Devette Sweeney has really helped that stay alive after we did it the first few years, and we're well into it now.
A kindergarten teacher, I know what you're going to say to this. You're going to say yes, but a kindergarten teacher can easily tell if a child has been to preschool or in some sort of learning environment when they walk, probably on day one.
They can. And I survey our kindergarten teachers annually, and that's one thing that comes out loud and clear is that they would love to see universal preschool for all 4-year-olds. They'd love for all 4-year-olds to be able to attend our preschool program. We have a little over 1,000 kindergarten students in our district, and we usually serve about 550, 560 preschoolers. So slightly more than half of our kindergartners have attended our preschool program. And they will say they can tell the difference.
Right. In recent years, we've started this program statewide. It's called the Brigance program, Brigance testing, and that's where you kind of screen and see where a child is, and that really helps kindergarten teachers really focus their one-on-one instruction that happens every day. About 50% of those children, and it's not just a Hardin County Schools problem, it's across the state, about 50% of those kids are deemed kindergarten ready, and the other 50% we still have to move them through. So how do we change that as a community and as a school district? What are some things we need to do?
You know, I think we're headed in the right direction because we have so much community support. Our Hardin County Library does a fabulous job with young children. You know, the Community Foundation is right there and very, very supportive. Our United Way, our Community Early Childhood Council. There's so many people that are working together, different school districts, I mean, all to help families in Hardin County. So I think that number will rise because I think if we could get one thing out to families, and that is read to your children from the time, you know, before they're born. And it's never too late. If you are the parent of a 3-year-old right now and you haven't been reading your children, start today, because that's going to help as much as anything, because they will know vocabulary, they will know how to, you know, listen, they will know how to do a lot of things that the Brigance ask.
There's resources on our website in the early childhood area, and then also there's under the parents tab there is it talks about, you know, how do I make sure my child is kindergarten ready, and those are great resources.
Yes, they are great resources. We're, you know, we try to get them in the hands of everybody we can, and I think, you know, my associate superintendent of instruction is working with me to get those in the hands of even more people. So it truly has become not just a Hardin County Schools effort, but a community effort. And that's how we help our community. I mean, these children, before you know it, we'll be looking at them and they'll be the ones that are working in our community, taking care of us at the hospital. You know, we want children to be successful, to be able to hold those jobs and, you know, or to aspire to do anything they want to do.
Right. We're getting ready to talk to a couple of your some teachers, but just talk about the preschool and kindergarten team that's not only here at Cecilia Valley, but across this district.
We have fabulous preschool teachers and kindergarten teachers in Hardin County. I think they work, they're probably the 2 grades that focus on the child as a whole, and then where we have to take them to, because we're dealing with a lot of social needs that and not that everybody doesn't have social needs, but our children have, just because of their age, a little bit more difficulty communicating it. So if you want to be impressed, I'd say go to a kindergarten class or a preschool class and let a child tell you why they're upset, and that kindergarten teacher or preschool staff will know exactly what they said when you might be sitting there thinking, I do not have a clue what they said, because they know, they can sense it, they can, you know, we can understand the beginning language where, you know, because those are the children that we're working with. And I think, you know, in preschool and in kindergarten in Hardin County, we want our children to be as successful as possible. You know, a lot of our kindergarten teachers and our preschool teachers watch their children all the way through the ranks. And it's not unusual to see them going to a middle school football game or a high school basketball game because that was a child that was in their kindergarten class or in their preschool class. And that's relationship building.
Right. Well, you touched on it. I'm going to go ahead and say his name. You touched on it earlier. There's a young man that's going to play college football. That's getting ready to sign, Octavius Oxendine, who's a student at North Hardin High School. He's going to probably play on Sundays someday, and he is passionate about getting his preschool teachers to his college signing on the 18th of December. So,
and it makes my heart happy.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that. I think that he is probably a young man who realizes that his success started not only with his family, who have been wonderfully supportive of him, but his young teachers who helped him start the right path, and he stayed on the right path. And I wish him nothing but huge success.
Right.
I will not say that when I'm watching a football game on a Sunday, I'm not going to say, there's a former preschool student. My husband won't say that, but I'll be saying that. But I am super proud of him.
Well, we thank you for all you do, and thank our teachers as well. We're getting ready to talk to a couple of those folks and just learn more about what goes on in the preschool classroom each day. We're here with three of the great preschool instructors at Cecilia Valley Elementary School, Mickey Tennant, Tara Martin, and Ruth Ann Smith. And Ruth Ann, I'm going to start with you. You have this outdoor classroom deal. Tell us a little bit about that.
I do. So it is an outdoor classroom. We spend about 3 hours outside. We call it our adventures. We talk about trees, plants, wildlife, deer, just anything that you can think of outside, we talk about it. I've noticed since I've been doing the outdoor classroom that their vocabulary is amazing, the things that they have picked up. I mean, it's just amazing.
Right.
It is.
Just talk about how you take the transition from inside four walls to outside into the great outdoors.
Well, I first brought it into the classroom. As you
Okay.
can see, I have things all over the classroom. And they like to find things outside and bring inside that they can count. It is a little bit more complicated to bring things outside in the outdoor classroom, but we count everything. We measure everything. So the things that you would do typically in the classroom, we do everything outside.
Right. Guys, talk about, Tara and Mickey, talk about how important preschool is and the changes that you see in your students, not only this year, but each and every year as they make that transition into kindergarten. How important is preschool?
Social skills, that's the main thing that we see. Just them being able to work it out with each other, because they really don't have that practice, especially if they don't have siblings at home. So.
Yeah. What are some things you see, Tara?
Social skills are very important.
Okay.
Language, vocabulary, a lot of ours are in speech, so they gain that vocabulary in the speech, sentence length.
We talk about have to have that delay for a 3 and a 4-year-old or for 4 income limitation, but we're not saying that we necessarily cure those ills, but we certainly help children overcome those obstacles. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And we really work close with the families too and give them the tools to work on it at home as well.
And I know Carlina has talked about this for years, the 10 years I've known her. She's talked about how it seems like our families get it. I mean, they are really great partners.
They are. They're really willing to take what we have to say, and they take it home and try what we tell them to.
What are some of the success stories that you guys have seen? And we'll just kind of go down the road here. But what are some success stories that have really grabbed your attention over your careers of doing this?
I just had a parent text me today thanking me for making it so fun, because she said her little boy hated the thought of even coming to school, and he didn't want to write his name. He didn't want to work on letters, and she said just last night he was so excited because he wrote his name by himself, and she just thanked me for making it so fun that he enjoys coming to school.
I like it when they take it home, and the parents are like, they're bringing words
Yeah.
home, breaking them apart. Have you been doing that in the classroom? Yeah, that's what we're doing this week. Like, oh, well, I thought they must have got that from you. So when they take it home, that's neat.
Right. What about you, Mickey?
This is the first time I've been in a setting where I can actually watch the kids grow down the hallway, so I really enjoy that.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say too, John, Tara has been our summer in action teacher for several years. It's a camp we have in the summer, and I've heard tons of success stories about the things that she and the team that she works with are able to do in a week. And some of that is just getting them excited about school. They do so many fun things in there to get them excited about school. And we've been fortunate to have summer in action camp at Howe Valley and now Cecilia Valley for probably about 5 or 6 years. And she has worked every summer. So, you know, I think for them to get a chance to see her prior to the start of school, you know, it's one of those transition activities that does not really feel like a transition activity.
Right.
Some of those children that come don't necessarily come to preschool, but a lot of them do.
We've got just a couple of minutes left, but Cecilia Valley, I think, is unique because it draws from its district map is large in land area, and you draw some students that live out in the far reaches of the county, and maybe they don't have as much access to some preschool settings or some early learning settings. But so this center or these classrooms at Cecilia Valley, to me, are critically important. Talk about that.
Well, Tara and Nikki could probably both tell you that when we made a decision as a Hardin County School District to go full day, the very first time that we went full day where?
Howe Valley.
Howe Valley. And one of our major reasons was because they did not have a lot of child care. They didn't have any child care really in the area that they pulled from. So in areas where our children can go half day and then go to a child care partner half day, they still got a full day of instruction. Parents can work. Howe Valley did not have that option. So we tried full day for the first time at the Howe Valley building, and it was super successful. I think Tara and the team felt like it was successful. Our parents felt like it was successful. And earlier when I referenced a family of a 3-year-old who said, you know, I don't really want my child to go full day, 4 days a week. We were a week in and they were like, I want my child to go full day, 4 days a week.
Right, right.
And with my class, I'm a PRA class, and I have children that are outside our district that are driven here by parents.
So that just speaks to the volume of it. Go ahead.
They're transported here as well.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So that just speaks to how
So we
important it
reach,
is
right,
They
we
like it.
reach, you know,
We do.
all across the county.
yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
And PRA stands for Preschool Readiness Academy, and we have 3 of those in the district, and that goes back to the support of the board.
Right.
The board has been super supportive of us and realizing how important early childhood is to the success of our students. So has our superintendent always, and they've allowed us to do something a little bit more creative and offer some opportunities for families who don't necessarily qualify for our state-funded program.
Right. Well, guys, I could sit here and talk about this all day. Unfortunately, we got to go. But thank you for what you do for our kids each and every day. We appreciate you all, and look forward to many great success stories when those kids put on the blue and gold graduation caps and walk across that stage at Central Hardin. So thank you all.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time on this edition of HCS Matters.